देश है भाई, मेरा देश है, मेरे फैमिली को देखेगा वो, मेरा टास्क वो है, वो मैं करूँगा।
They can pull out the gun and shoot someone in the middle of their head in 3 seconds.
आतंकवादियों को घर में घुसकर मारा जाता है।
ये ऐसे इंसान है सर, ये अपने बारे में सोचते नहीं है।
नमस्कार, जय हिंद, जय भारत एंड वेलकम टू डेव टॉक्स। आज एज यू गाइस कैन ऑल सी मेरे साथ हैं मिस्टर तिलक देवासर, समवन आई हैव बीन wanting to speak to because पाकिस्तान में चीजें things are going from bad to worse. And firstly, let's say namaskar sir, thank you, welcome to the show. And I know
Namaskar,
you're
Aadi.
traveling.
Thank you so
Yes.
much for calling me. I'm coming back on your show, and in fact, the first podcast that I'm doing after some time. I was taking a break basically. It's good to be back.
Lovely sir, nice to have you. And so nice that you're coming on the platform in spite of the fact that you're traveling. Sir, let's begin sir. But you know, एक nuclear button type press किया गया है पाकिस्तान में. वो बोलते हैं ना, एटमी असासा actually has been used now by Asim Munir, and I mean it literally. He's used an atom bomb by arresting a former DG ISI. I mean, who's actually like an army chief himself. ये क्या हो रहा है sir? What's happening here? Why is he so scared, or why is he so cornered, or why is he so aggressive? Your opinion, sir?
Actually, a couple of things. First of all, this is a very important development. Make no bones about it. It is important not only for the army, it is also going to have ramifications and repercussions in the politics of Pakistan for the near future. You're right. It's probably the first time that a former DGISI has been detained and is being court-martialed. And according to some reports, um, he was arrested while in uniform because being court-martialed, if it is proved, then his medals will be taken away. He will be drummed out, as it was. So it's a very serious thing. But why was it done now? The people are asking the timing. What is the timing and why? Now, ostensibly, everybody is talking about this top city case where a complaint had been filed, and the Supreme Court finally in November said that this must be investigated. And the army just picked it up and had an inquiry in April, and then they decided to proceed against him. Now, if you read the ISPR's press release carefully, they mentioned two things. One, that as a result of that investigation, it was found that it was violative of the Army Act, and as per directives of the Supreme Court, they have started disciplinary proceedings against him. But the second paragraph was far more important, that even after retirement, he's been indulging in activities which are violative of the Army Act, for which a general field court martial. Now, there are two, so Army itself is making a distinction between corruption charges of the top city and anti activities which violate the Army Act, for which is a court martial. That's a very important distinction, and as it unrolls, this will come to the fore. Now, interestingly, the top city case, though the case has been filed by this fellow called Moiz Ahmed, actually the land belonged to a lady called Fazila. She and her husband, she is a British national of Pakistani origin. After her husband passed away, she came to Pakistan and wanted to get rid of the land or develop it, and she employed Moiz Khan. Moiz Khan felt that this is a damn good opportunity, so he got the land transferred to himself fraudulently. It is then that she made a complaint and through intermediaries reached out to various important people, and then finally Faiz Hameed got to hear of it and saw the pressure on Moiz Khan. So Moiz Khan is not totally innocent of all that has been happening. But why, in Pakistan, army corruption is not a serious issue. Everybody's been making money. You remember that Papa Jones Bajwa, the kind of money he had made when he was Southern Army commander and things. So it's a normal par for the course. Everybody accepts it. But the whole atmosphere, the army found that Imran Khan continued to be popular. Imran Khan's narrative continues to dominate the airwaves. The army's narrative, counter narrative, was making no dent whatsoever. The social media team of Imran Khan was so strong that there was nothing that the army could do which will dent his popularity. So, how do you make a dent on his popularity? One. Second, economically, Pakistan is going through a serious crisis, has been for some time. But if you recall, when Asim Munir became chief, he persuaded Shehbaz Sharif and the caretaker government to set up this Special Investment Facilitation Council,
Hmm.
SIFC. And a lot of hope was sort of put on this SIFC that they will get 25 billion investment from Saudi, from UAE, from other places, and it'll be $100 billion the worth of investment. Initially, there were noises which were made by Saudi Arabia, by UAE. UAE was given two berths in the Karachi port,
Yeah.
all part of it. But for the last 10 months, you would not have heard of the SIFC at all, because even foreign investors realize, look, this is not a stable regime. The economy is not moving. There is so much of political polarization and infighting that it is not worth investing our money into Pakistan at this stage. Even multilateral organizations, the World Bank and the IMF, have pointed out that without political stability, without an understanding between political parties, no foreign investment is going to come. So, what does Munir, what does the army do? That in this situation, see, without the economy getting back on track, there's nothing that you can do to Pakistan.
Yeah.
How do you do that? You have to do that by making sure that, and Imran Khan refused to budge. He refused to talk to the army, he refused to talk to the politicians. He says, give my mandate back to me. He wants to be made prime minister. You know, constitution, no constitution. He keeps talking about dialogue within the constitution. But basically, sir, मुझे prime minister बनाओ,
फिर डायलॉग करेंगे.
आपसे dialogue करेंगे. So how do you pressurize Imran Khan? Or how do you take Imran Khan out of the equation? Now, everybody realized this 9th May charges were also not sticking. What happened 9th
Yeah.
May 23? They were not
Hmm.
sticking, no proof. And everybody sees this as a political vendetta against Imran Khan. People are not willing to believe that Imran Khan plotted this whole thing. So the army is desperately looking for proof. They finally got proof, apparently, when they raided PTI leaders like the Thrauf Hassan and Shireen Mazari. Through their telephones, they were able to detect messages and instructions sent by Faiz Hameed that which
Ah.
ISI guy to target, where are their offices, what to do. So that they have built together and built up a case. It is then that they decided to move against Faiz Hameed after they were pretty sure that these charges will stick, that they have the proof now. But I still feel that even if they were able to produce this proof and court martial him, people will still say कि ये तो political किया हुआ है, लोगों को मार के ये confessions किए गए अब our proof. So this is going to be tip of the iceberg. The army will have to ensure that the messaging that comes out from the court martial, that the selective leaks that are made about the information available, is packaged in such a manner that a nexus or a direct link is established between Faiz Hameed and Imran Khan.
Hmm.
That the attack on Martyrs Memorial, attacks on the army, attacks on engineering a coup against the army chief at the behest of Imran Khan. The army will have to establish these things for the charges to stick and to erode the credibility and popularity of Imran Khan. If that is not done, this case will also fall flat. The other thing that can stick is that Faiz Hameed was known to be in touch with the TTP.
Yeah.
If they can prove that this was being done to garner support for the PTI in the elections for KPK, the last elections which were
Hmm.
held. If they can establish that, in which a large number of people also died,
Yeah.
then it becomes a different ball game. So that's why I said this is a very important development and will have ramifications for Pakistani politics, apart from what happens in the army itself. People say accountability, it's a message to the army and all that is not so important. The really crucial thing is that how can they link this directly to Imran Khan and erode his credibility, his popularity, and show this nexus between Faiz Hameed's activity and Imran Khan.
This is a big step that they've taken. So it's not a, you know, it's not a small thing. They've taken a big step and they've kind of gone into a direction. There's no point. There's no coming back from this.
No. And it's a fight to the finish.
There's a sitting general that you're taking out, by the way. He was called to one of the corps commanders. When he came out of the corps commander's office, he was arrested in uniform, as you said.
Yeah.
So this is a very, very big thing. But sir, एक चीज बताओ, what took them this long? May 9th happened so long ago. Is this part of a game? Were they trying something else and they kind of failed and they've said, "Acha yaar, ab ye karna padega"? Because army itself is not that strong at the moment, sir.
Because everything else failed. You see, they went attacking on the social media. Internet was banned. Twitter is banned. They found people were using VPN, to circumvent that. And the overseas media team of PTI, that continued to rule the roost. Whether you had YouTubers, whether you had Twitter. So the army's narrative was being blocked everywhere. They did those attacks in Jammu, hoping that India will react. India didn't take the bait. If for example, India had reacted, so many people were saying on TV, we should go in, surgical strikes and all that. What would have happened? Asif Munir would say, Pakistan in danger. Everybody would have to rally around, including Imran Khan.
Okay, that's an interesting angle.
By not reacting, of course, the initial reaction was knee-jerky, maro inko. But by not reacting, you played the longer game. I'm sorry.
No worries. Take your time. But this is very interesting. Guys, I don't know if you followed, sir. Sir is saying that the attacks that happened in Jammu, they've been planned as an escalation कि भाई यहाँ पर कुछ भारत से कुछ आए, so that कहीं ना कहीं एक narrative बना सको कि भाई see India is attacking us, अब तो आर्मी के पीछे खड़ा होना पड़ेगा. आर्मी को जो पैसे पूछे चाहिए वो आना पड़ेगा. Victim card एक बड़े अच्छी तरह से you can play. And which is a very important thing, because if the army can actually play that victim card, uski jo legitimacy hai, which will go up quite a bit, which today is pretty bad in terms of the people. People are not very happy with the army. So ek recovery type ho jayega.
And all the credibility that they had lost, they would regain that credibility. Because at a time when your so-called foremost enemy is attacking you, anybody who opposes it or does anything different will straight away be a Gaddar, will be a traitor.
Wow.
So the army would have clawed back space. And therefore, I think they were disappointed that India did not follow through on its muscular policy. So which is a smart thing, because if you're looking at the longer term and you feel that the main threat to you is the Pakistan army, then to erode the Pakistan army, that if you attack, carry out a surgical strike, you actually bolster the Pakistan army.
That is very interesting, because Pakistani army today is getting hammered from all sides. That's interesting. Let's go to Balochistan, sir. Guys, sir has written, trust me, I mean, there are, if you want to see authoritative books about Pakistan, there's only one author that I'll go to, and that is sir. Let me be very clear, and that's not, that may be my opinion, but कहीं ना कहीं तो बलोच और पश्तून भी यही चीज बोलते हैं कि साहब तिलक साहब की बातें एकदम स्पॉट ऑन है. तो लेट्स स्टार्ट विद बलोचिस्तान, उसके बाद जरा नॉर्थ में जाएंगे. Sir, Balochistan, how do you see this right now? They called for kya national gathering, Balochistan national gathering. Bulaya. Maharang Baloch is now getting backed by a lot of people in the West and all that stuff as well. How do you see the situation in Balochistan? CPEC के support roads block कर रखे हैं लोगों ने. They're not willing to go from there. Even the army fired at them. They still didn't leave.
You know, the big thing that in Balochistan is that now the civil rights movement, the civil society movement, has got strengthened to a great extent.
Hmm.
And this is the weakness of Balochistan earlier, that because of their scattered population and large mass land area, there was only insurgency. The Baloch were in the mountains, and you had the political class, the parliamentarians, who were trying to do politics. There was no civil society movement or civil resistance. Now the Pakistan army has pushed the Baloch to the wall so much that they, for the sake of self-preservation, they've had to come out. And that they have done. And they've done in a manner that, look at the size of the gatherings. Even on social media, it's not ever shown on mainstream media, but see on social media, the size of the gatherings are huge.
Hmm.
And bulk of them are women. Because the men have either been arrested, disappeared, or the fear is that they will be picked up again if they come out in the streets. So you'll find only women, or mostly women. And in Marang Baloch, they've got this firebrand leader who talks from experience. And when she talks, she speaks with so much of conviction and frankness and, absolutely who's not scared. And in one of
Hmm.
her speeches I was hearing, she said, when somebody's husband or brother is missing for 15 years, आप उसको और कैसे डराओगे? So the fear, जो डर था ना, the fear has gone out of them. So they are gaining strength to strength. And the interesting thing that is happening, that the growth of the middle class, the educated middle class, has now divided into two streams. Even the armed resistance, bulk of it, is now these middle class Baloch. The tribal are also there, but less so. The leadership is now moving gradually into the hands of the educated middle class. The
Hmm.
civil society is also in the hands of the educated middle class. Varun Baloch, after all, is a medical doctor.
Yeah.
The parliament, three elements in Balochistan or anywhere else. You have the parliamentarians, you have the armed resistance, and you have civil society. Today, the whole focus has come on the civil society and the armed groups. Parliament, the political process, has got discredited. And that which could function as a via media between the armed groups and the government, or the civil society and the government, is now space is getting increasingly vacated. The parliamentarians, the chief minister, the entire system of government and all that is getting increasingly discredited because they're ineffective. Everybody realizes. Even Marang Baloch and other people, civil society, they said, "ये हम हमारे लिए क्या करेंगे?" They're not able to do anything for us at all. This is what the armed groups had said 10 years ago, 15 years ago, that parliamentarians are ineffective. So, this I think is a very, very important development in Balochistan for the long term. And the Pakistan army, by its very nature, the way it is trained and the way it is brought up, has only one template to deal with the resistance, which is to open fire. This is what they've done in East Bengal, East Pakistan, what they've been doing in Balochistan all this while. And once you start using harsh tactics on civil society, peaceful protesters, ulti gilti shuru ho jati hai. You cannot do that. How many people will you kill? Again, as these people say, कितने लोग मारोगे? Because we have nothing left to lose. So I think Balochistan is really at the edge at the moment because of the civil society protests. And add to
Yes,
the fact, of course, there's the armed resistance. Now, Taliban groups have also made inroads. TTP, I mean. They're also carrying out. So, your combination of this is a pretty potent force.
Hmm. That's very interesting. So, I mean, Balochistan. One very crazy thing that I'm seeing is that the Chinese are kind of very quiet right now. They're not wanting to say anything. There are no comments coming about the factor that CPCs को block कर रखा है, ग्वादर को surround कर रखा है इन लोगों ने. Quiet. Have the Chinese realized their final हो गया भाई?
I think for
Americans
some,
have Americans have come into Balochistan. They know that. Have they realized their fate? Ki yaar, this thing fair enough. We can keep touting it in public, but
I think the Chinese for some time have realized this. If you notice, CPEC had plateaued out. Or instead of a $62 billion investment, the investment peaked at $22 billion or so 5, 6 years ago. Since then, there has been no fresh Chinese investment.
hmm,
They keep talking about CPEC phase two, CPEC this, CPEC that, but they realize that Pakistan is not in a position to handle it, handle the investments or the projects, or even to provide security. And when you see the civil society protests in Balochistan, despite their own strong arm methods, the Chinese realize that in a hybrid democracy, you can't beyond a point do this. So I think even the Chinese are now, I wouldn't say giving up, but they're taking
they
a back.
understand. They understand the reality.
Yeah, taking a back seat.
That's interesting. And the Chinese tried. I mean, if I may just take 30 seconds to explain my last question to you about what do you call the Pashtun games. Now, the Chinese tried talking to the TTP. They've kind of fed them money and said, "Yeah, listen, don't attack us. You do what you want to the Pakistani army. हमारे बंदे क्यों मार रहे हो?" So that kind of you've seen the attacks on the Chinese for the past 2 3 months have kind of reduced, right? Except the Baloch who go after the Chinese with hands down this thing. They got confused between a Chinese and a Japanese and blew up a van in Karachi and this and that. Uh, Apart from that, there was this jirga with what do you call Manzoor Pashtun, where he announced saying कि भाई कुछ ना कुछ हम करेंगे. 14th October is our day. 11th October is our day. हम कुछ ना कुछ करेंगे. The interesting thing that I saw is Sanaullah Ghaffari, sir, the head of the ISIS, right? He commented on this saying, ki, "Nahin, these guys need to be given their own place. In spite of the fact that Khorasan is, this thing." Then you had the TTP chief, who was photographed with the same that Pashtun hat that Manzoor Pashtun wears. He normally does not wear that,
The Bazari cap, yeah.
the Mazari cap. And there are rumors now, which a lot of people have told me, ki, bhai, you're spot on this. And a lot of people from there, ki, sahab, the TTP and the PTM have started talking. So what's going to happen here? This is a unthinkable situation. We used to always say that these Pashtuns will not pick up the weapons, sir. Is that going to be so going forward, looking at the Jirga and this and that coming up?
I still believe that they will be continue to follow the Bacha Khan legacy of non-violence. They don't need to.
Hmm.
But links between PTM and the TTP are very natural. They are both missiles.
Hmm.
They come from the same area. So talking to each other is, in the local jirgas, at the local level, is very normal. And why would they need to pick up the gun? You already have the TTP which has picked up the gun. What additional thing will the PTM add to the TTP? But if they continue with the civil society protest, makes it that much more difficult for the Pakistan army to deal with them. The TTP also realize how important a civil society protest is. So I think both these streams will continue. But yes, Manzoor Pashtun has been making some very strong statements that it's difficult for us to stay if you continue in this path. Those kind of statements have been coming. So let's see what this Pashtun Jirga comes up with. It'll be easier for the Pakistan army to act against them if they talk about picking up the gun. Because then the army can go and smash them.
Ah.
If they continue on a civil society protest, it'll be difficult for the army to handle them. So unless there is some grave provocation, if they're really pushed to the wall, see, for a Pashtun to pick up a weapon is not an issue. He's born with weapons. That is his jewelry. So the more difficult thing is not to pick up a weapon. This is what Bacha Khan, Ghaffar Khan used to say, that because the Pashtun knows the value of, uh, you know, because of the guns culture he's built with, he's the one who knows the value of non-violence. In fact, once Nehru or Gandhiji asked him that, how come you are non-violent? He said, because it's only we who know what non-violence can be, because we have been used to revenge and things like that. So for the PTM, this is not a problem, picking up the gun. But I think they will, I don't know, let's see what happens.
The what you're saying makes obviously a lot of sense, because that's how things have been there. But so things have come to a point where these guys are getting cheesed off. The way that the jirga happened this time, when they kind of stood there, the kind of narabazi that they were doing. As a matter of fact, they released statements in English, released statements in French, Spanish, and Hindi.
Yeah.
Right? So this is very interesting. The Pashtuns are not known for this tactic of public narrative, of reaching out to the larger world. They're simplistic people.
On the contrary, I don't agree with you there. If you look
Okay.
at the media machinery of the TTP,
TTP is superb.
yeah,
Yeah.
so also Pashtuns, and they borrowed it
I
from the
mean, I'm
Taliban.
talking about the PTM Pashtuns, the silent ones.
So they are also picking up on the TTP.
Mm.
And one other element in this is the PTI government of KPK. You see, the Gandapur, you see his statements and what he's been talking about and what he's projecting should also be giving nightmares to the government in Islamabad.
Mm-hmm.
He is not, he's sort of borderline TTP or PTM or whatever way you want to call it. He's borderline.
He said that मेरे को ज़्यादा क्या धकेलो मत, नहीं तो मेरे पास एक बटन है, दबा दूंगा मैं.
And then up to attack, and he's made many statements like this, even in the
Yeah.
budget. Even in the
What's up?
budget.
Does the Pakistani army today, when they went in, they azme istikham ये सब कराए इन लोगों ने जाके. Do they actually have the this capability of doing something? They
No.
went in on the first day. They lost 5 SSG commandos. Now, unconfirmed reports from Afghanistan and that region, I know some other people in that area as well, said very clearly that these guys have lost in the first 5-6 days. They lost 200 men, sir. Reconfirmed from people. Right? This is reconfirmed news. I'm not just throwing a narrative out. This is reconfirmed news. 200 men in the first 5 days. And then they backed off. And then they said, nee, this is a hybrid intelligence operation. So obviously they got their, what's handed to them.
Yeah, yeah. No, they don't have the capability or the capacity to carry out a Zarb-e-Azb. They don't have it anymore. And though they've used parliament, okay, this is actually a different kind of exercise. This is not a military operation. We don't want people to come out. Then they've drummed up opposition to the operation themselves in FATA. Got a few people to say कि नहीं operation नहीं कर सकते, हम allow नहीं करेंगे. फौजा ठीक है, we listen to public opinion. We will not do it. Basically, backtracking and allowing a face saving. So they don't have the capacity anymore. So they are really desperate for the Taliban to help them and bail them out. The Taliban, why should the Taliban do it anymore? Taliban is not going to do it.
Why should they? That's the whole thing.
Yeah.
Why would they do that? And on top of it, if Imran Khan is kind of put to the gallows, which is what seems to be the plan right now, this is going to explode. I mean, it's going to be
Yeah.
quite a...
One other thing I forgot to mention on Faiz Hameed,
Sir, sir.
ISPR had released a photograph 2 3 days ago about Asim Munir, Rahil Sharif,
Ah,
Ashfaq Pervez
that
Kayani,
that party and all
and a
that.
couple of other army chiefs. Not
Yeah.
army chiefs, army officers. See,
Hmm.
no, Bajwa was not there. Basically showing, look, the army, the former chiefs, the veterans are with me. So even though this action has been taken against Faiz Hameed, army is fully backing me. And he was all smiles, the way he was receiving people and seeing them off. And so that photograph is very, very suggestive. And I tweeted this. I said he's showing his very important signal that he's giving. And with Rahil Sharif, the Zarbiaz was under his time. So lots of things. So coming back to the Azmi Istikam, it's a non-starter. They're not able to deal with the TTP. You see, and then he keeps talking about ideology of Pakistan. He's called them Khwaraj Fitna, all
Mhm.
those kind of things. The point is that the TTP made a very important observation a couple of years ago. I may have mentioned it on your program. They said, look, we are carrying out jihad as per the teachings of Pakistani ulama in the madrasas. You taught us jihad. You told us to go and fight. We fought against the Americans. Now you're telling us jihad is wrong. Then Pakistan came up with this argument that jihad can be declared only by a state.
Yeah.
Is it fair enough? We are a state. They declared their council, their provinces. We have got 11 provinces. We are a state. We have declared jihad. Now what do you have to say to us?
And they will actually, if they actually declare that so-called independence, then they'll be the official army.
Pakistan ulamas or Pakistan state has not been able to come out with a counter. What do they do? So ideologically, too, the TTP is in a much better position than these few odd statements that the Pakistan army keeps making.
Wow.
It's a very complex situation, and I don't see the Pakistan army having the bandwidth or the intellectual bandwidth to be able to deal with this. It's on the one side of the Taliban, who have challenged the Durand line. On this
Mm.
side is the TTP, who want the demerger of KPK and FATA, imposition of Sharia, and they put forward an ideological argument. So this is a Pashtun pincer from both sides of the Durand line. And it is going to boost the idea of a larger Pashtun entity from both
Wow.
sides of the Durand line.
This is
Punjabis doesn't understand the dangers looming right ahead.
पंजाबी को तो सर शाम को उसको क्या वो रगड़ा कढ़ाई कुछ मिल जाए वो खुश हो जाता है जाके सो जाएगा उसके बाद खत्म कहानी I
Leg
mean
tipping, leg tipping.
like and a lot of Pakistanis are here you are coming and by the way ladies and gentlemen I think somebody mentioned this also have you guys noticed all these Pakistanis suddenly have Hindu names ठीक है and always also notice that these guys by the way these are the same people that abuse all of us on Twitter also तो जरा हमको थोड़ा ध्यान से देखना पड़ेगा हियर इज अ वेरी क्लियर एग्जांपल हिंदू नेम्ड पाकिस्तानीज हाँ
Yeah.
ठीक है तो
They mask, they try to push them off as Hindus and then criticize either the government or individuals or something like that.
या गाइस आई आल्सो मेंशनड समथिंग सुपर हिंदूज ये तो नहीं है ये थोड़ा देखना पड़ेगा यार वील हैव टू ब्लडी डिग इनटू दिस आई सॉ 3-4 of them one odd chap I won't say anything and then somebody here advisor or somebody commented here कि यार guys have you noticed this and then I actually went back saw some comments I'm like whoa there are about 4-5 of them that have borrowed comments and Hindu names. So very interesting.
And
Very,
they'll
very.
they'll trip up. They'll trip up because the very few who will have the sophistication to hide their tracks. You see, when you want to do something, 3 or 4 should be neutral comments.
Hmm.
फिर एक आप कहीं you let loose your nuclear button. Then again neutral. यहाँ तो they go straight, hammer and tongs from day one.
So I'll read you out one comment that came, sir, and then we'll get into some questions with the audience as well. This comment came to me about 3 days ago. I I was talking about Pakistan about something, and this gentleman sends me a very interesting. He says, "I'm a Pakistani." His name is okay. Forget it. You'll probably get caught if I say his name. It's all right. But yeah, you guys can see his comment on the channel. I've not hidden it or anything. He says, "I'm a Pakistani, but Indian channels tell you correctly the real geopolitics. I respect one thing about India. What Pakistan will never have control over our own sovereignty. Also, like Iran, our damn country, Pakistan is a sellout."
Well, दे रहा है दुरुस्त है अभी पता चला है for last 70 years,
This
you
thing
know.
kind of shocked me. I'm like, yeah, ये store करके रखना पड़ेगा. It's probably one Pakistani that that has like 10% brain, you know.
Yeah. It starts from, in 1946, before Pakistan was created.
Hmm.
Made this very interesting comment. He said Pakistan cannot stand alone, which meant they will always need the crutches or support, that time of the UK, subsequently of the US. And then it became China. Even today, 77 years have passed. Pakistan cannot stand alone. They cannot be on their own. They continue to be dependent. They're dying to be dependent on someone. कोई तो मिले who will lord it over them. This is their whole philosophy.
You know, this is really, really amazing because I wonder what gives them. And last thing I would say is, I wonder what gives them the confidence. But I wonder where are my Baloch friends? So many Baloch friends used to come. अच्छा वहाँ पर internet खराब होगा तो that's why I'm not seeing. Otherwise, the minute you write Balochistan, I would have at least 5, 6, 7 Baloch people here, 100%, and announcing the factor that they're Baloch very clearly. So okay, I think one odd person is here. Guys, can somebody translate what LRM has written and put it up here, because I can't. I mean, I can't read that. But if you can please translate and put it here. The last thing I would say, sir, that we've looked at Pakistan as a singularity till now, and I don't think going forward that singularity will need to be kind of the way it is, because if you need to make future plans, you'll have to take into considerations the clans, the tribes, the languages, the whole lot of things. Uh, because I don't think tomorrow your plan could be on a singular entity called Pakistan. वो नहीं हो पाएगा जिस तरह से चीजें बिल्ड हो रही हैं. You will have to keep it separate and see यार इस एरिया की ये issues हैं, इस एरिया की ये issues हैं. At the end of it, you'll have to deal with them. Now, how much is the question? कितना आप डील करोगे, कितना नहीं करोगे, वो अलग चीज है. But you'll have to figure something out going forward in the future.
I would agree with you, but I would frame it slightly differently.
Sir.
You're very right. One will have to look at. So you need to have Pakistan studies in India, which looks at each provinces, looks at the tribal structure, look at the political structure, look at the social structure of each province. But at the national level, you'll have to continue to deal with it as a singularity. So long as the Pakistan army retains its cohesion, its unity, its chain of command, they will keep the four provinces together.
Wow.
Once that starts to break, but before that happens, you need to have scholarship in India which looks at these, what's happening in Sindh. We have never talked about Sindh. Talked about Balochistan, what's happening in KPK, what's happening in Gilgit-Baltistan. That is very, very important. In India, not very many people do that.
Wow. So, one comment had come, and this I want to take this out of turn. That's why, from LRM, the gentleman who wrote in, I think, Urdu, he said, "Oh, freedom is called serf." I don't know what that means, but he said, "Even today we are slaves of America. Today my army chief is decided in America."
Is deciding America. Quite possible. It's quite possible. It is certainly decided um, on factors other than either seniority or propriety or whatever like that. There are other reasons for deciding on the army chief. And certainly, if you're not financially sovereign, you're not sovereign at all. If you're dependent on rolling over loans, 4 billion to China, 5 billion to Saudi Arabia, Sovereignty कहाँ से?
Hmm. Interesting. Guys, please like the video. Sir, thank you. Firstly, I mean, you're not keeping well. You still decided to take out time. I'm so grateful. But, people like you have so much inept knowledge that people like us need to absorb from you. And trust you me, guys, I've said this before. I'm saying it again. And the sheer behest of being repetitive. If there are books that you want to learn about Pakistan, Baloch ke upar, Pashtuns ke upar, wow, they are mind-blowing books. Please buy both of them, and trust you me, you guys will realize why I'm so enthusiastic to talk to sir. I'm so excited to talk to sir. It's something really really cool, and I have seen Pashtuns talking about his book. Okay, I know Pashtuns who refer to him. Okay, and I know young Pashtuns who refer to him who are not even in Afghanistan and Pakistan region. They're all over abroad, Turkey, this, that, here and there, everywhere, and they have referred to your books and said, "Oh, Tilak sir." They know you by the first name, so that's something that you guys need to dig into. And of course, yes, please like this video. Most importantly, we need to cross 1200 likes, yeah, minimum. So please hit the like button, and of course, yes, subscribe to the channel if you haven't, and you can contribute towards this channel. आपके पास QR code है, PayPal है, या फिर super sticker, super chats के साथ आप contribute कर सकते हैं. Let's see. Okay. Firstly, let me just acknowledge two members that have joined in, Shilps and Shishagiri ji. Thank you both for becoming members. Parth Vasudev ji, thank you. What's your take on Hamid Mir's claim of 30-year plan?
I haven't read this. What is this 30-year plan?
Sir, he comes up with all sorts of funny things, sir. You remember this guy is, he actually said that in India ye kar raha hai.
So, one plan which is always talked about in Pakistan is called the
Ah,
London plan.
this is the Faiz Hameed ka 30-year plan, sir, basically. Faiz
Okay.
Hameed has some
Yeah,
30-year
okay.
plan.
No, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
I think in Pakistan, when you're living from day to day, to talk about a 30-year plan is really, I think, the height of optimism and the height of, uh, you know, stupidity. There can be no 30-year plan. You don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. If the IMF stretches giving you the loan by about month or two, you'll go into default. So
Yeah.
where is the 30-year plan? I think it's not a lot of nonsense. He may be in his mind, but yeah, dream करने में तो dreams are for free.
सर ये किसका अब लॉबिंग करता है? ही इज द सेम chap who got shot by the army. you know
Yeah.
who when he was recovering he used to say army ये वो जहां थोड़ा वूंड वूंड हील हो गया नीचे एक फिगो आके खड़ी हुई नहीं नहीं आर्मी तो एकदम बढ़िया है तब यार you got shot by the same guys. It's crazy. Right. Whoa, Abrajit. I'm sorry if I'm messing up your name. Your uh, font is very interesting. Why do people always say Pakistan is pro-China, but all the wealth of army generals, all of all the wealth army generals have their wealth in the West? So why this pro this and pro that argument?
So that's a contradiction in Pakistan. You see, their future and the future of their children is tied up in the West. There's no mistaking that. But you can't park your money in China. अभी आर्मी जनरल ने जो 30 करोड़ रुपए बनाए हैं, where will you invest in China? चाइना में क्या करेगा? कैसे करेगा? So you have to
Hmm.
park in the West because the laws there are liberal. It allows you to do that. But to burnish your credentials, you say down with the West. The amount of anti-Americanism in Pakistan is absolutely phenomenal. Yet everybody wants a visa to go to the US. They want their children to go to the US. हमें visa दिलवा दो, हमें ये करवा दो, and they will die trying to get across into Europe on boats, which then quite frequently sink. So this is a contradiction in Pakistan. China, nobody wants to go to. Why would they go to China? There are more likely to meet your, whores in the US than it is in China. So yes, it's a big contradiction.
चाइना पता नहीं क्या करेगा उनके साथ.
Yeah, exactly. And if they know what they're doing to the Uyghurs, that 1 million Uyghurs are in labor camps, they don't want to become the next
Yeah. JJ sir, thank you so much for joining back as a member. You were having trouble by the looks of it. That trouble has been resolved. Apologize for that. Vijay Kumarji says, sir, I have every book of yours except the Pashtuns. Great book, sir. When is your next book coming?
I wish I could tell you the subject and when it's coming, but the publisher says that I'm not to reveal it. So you'll just have to
Ah,
be a little patient.
so there is another book.
There is
Let me
another
take
book.
that.
Yeah,
Perfect. Awesome.
there's
ठीक
another
वो
book. But I
बाकी
can't say what it is about or when it'll come out.
ना वो
अगले
छोड़ दो
साल
फिर
आएगी. It'll come out next year, but that's all I can. I'm supposed to speak on it.
वो टेंशन नहीं है सर एक और बुक है ना दैट्स मोस्ट
Yeah.
इम्पोर्टेंट
नहीं एक जीत इसके बाद दो और आएगी.
अच्छा चलो फिर तो पढ़ने के लिए काफी कुछ है
Yeah.
तो पाकिस्तान अच्छी तरह से लपेट लेंगे आपसे हम लोग अच्छे से एकदम हीना रमानी खार स्वीट हार्ट ऑफ बिलो amazing names sir do you think Asim Munir would give the same statement to same treatment to Faiz Hameed as Musharraf gave to Benazir?
You see the fight between Faiz Hameed and Asim Munir is to the finish. The fight between Musharraf and Benazir was not to the finish. It was a
Yeah.
political struggle. He didn't want her to come back, for example, which he insisted on coming for the elections. But for Faiz Hameed and Asim Munir was sacked by Imran Khan at the shortest stint of the DGISI. Asim Munir. And Faiz Hameed became the DGISI.
Mm.
And Faiz Hameed wanted to make sure that Asim Munir doesn't become chief. So their enmity, it is enmity between the two of them. That is to the fight to the finish. And I think Asim Munir would be far harsher with Faiz Hameed than what Musharraf was. Of course, if you go the other way and say that Musharraf got Benazir bumped off, that jury is still out on that, whether it was Musharraf, whether there were so many other people who could have been involved. But I think Asim Munir, Faiz Hameed will be a dirtier fight and fight to the finish. It just so happens that Faiz Hameed is behind bars and Asim Munir is the army chief. So that has its own dynamics.
Man, can you imagine if if this guy would have gone up, Imran Khan wouldn't have been arrested, Asim Munir would have been behind bars.
Yeah.
Simple as that, because we all know why Asim Munir was thrown out. Asim Munir was thrown out for one simple reason, because he went to Imran Khan and said, your wife is stealing so much money.
Yeah.
He said, get out. And by the way, Asim Munir is no clean guy, huh? There is a tile chap in Peshawar. When he was a DGISI for that 1 month, he caught him smuggling into Tajikistan or something. Some tiles he was sending through to Tajikistan. And so he calls this chap and he says, give me 90 crores. Right? Or else I'm going to, this thing. Big guy, sir. He used to make granite and all that stuff. So this chap got really cheesed off here. I've been doing this nonsense for such a long time. What is this? He went to somebody, close to Imran Khan and said this. So apparently, when this chap, Asim Munir, went and said, here is what your wife is doing, Imran Khan took out and said, here is what you're doing. Apparently. Now, I can't confirm this, but this is something that I've been told, that there was an issue with regards to Asim Munir's corruption as well.
Okay.
Timothy McGee, thank you. Good evening, sir. General Munir turned out to be an able administrator. How he took control of various corps, ISI now sorting Faiz Hameed. Was his ouster from the ISI justified? Okay, we were just talking about it.
Yeah. Professionally, I don't think so. There was any reason to have got rid of him. In fact, if you remember, Pulwama took place on his watch.
Yeah.
It was DGISI when Pulwama happened. But ouster from the ISI for reasons that Aadi has just mentioned, complaining to Imran Khan about his wife. Now, how stupid can you get? So what did he think Imran Khan would do?
I know.
Yeah. So I think let's leave it at that. That for professional reasons, maybe not, but for management, after all, the DGISI does report to the Prime Minister.
But I've also heard Hafiz Asim Munir is also a Hafiz,
Acha, okay.
उसका एक whiskey brand भी है ना? I'll show you. This is really funny. Okay. मैं आपको दिखाता हूँ. These guys, whiskey, मतलब उसके नाम, they created it's a parody, but I'll show you this. It's really really funny. Every time I show this, I get a lot of hate from Pakistan, so I'm going to show it as anyways. Here we go.
Hafiz, wow. Who's the who's the manufacturer? Is it a or is this just a cover or is it
It,
actually a bottle?
it's fake, sir, but you know
Okay,
they kind of push it across like that. Half is whiskey.
the bottle looks familiar.
Yeah, bottle looks familiar, right? ये वो मुरी की है ना सर? मुरी
Murray
distilleries.
Brewery, yeah.
हाँ. So this is really interesting, and these guys keep doing this to this thing. I get a lot of laugh when they do this. Seven Saab, thank you. Asking India to hit in public will stand by Pakistan army, but India hits on terrorists. Then how will the Pakistani army protect the public? Anyway, nice strategy by Pakistanis. That's an interesting twist, sir.
No, not
What do you
asking
think?
India to hit. They had assessed that if you do these two, three, four attacks in Jammu, Udhampur, Kathua, all these areas, that India
Hmm.
will be provoked into attacking, and India will not hit public. India would hit terrorists, but Pakistan army would have projected it as an attack on Pakistan. Like what happened after Balakot. So that was the assessment that this is what will happen. That India, because of its muscular foreign policy, will do this. But India didn't take the bullet. It didn't sort of take the bait.
Rajesh ji says, will Munir get an extension? Will Maharang be able to survive the momentum? Or will the US dump her if there is a deal between Pakistani army and the US?
You see, will Munir get an extension? He's got 1 year to go after November. He retires only November 25. तो अभी तो extension की बात चल रही है for the Chief Justice. He retires in October. So I think Munir's extension will come up around about June, July, August next year. Abhi to is too premature. I don't think. Um, uh, yeah, I guess safety of Marang is important, but the US's your question seems to suggest that she is a US plant or the US is behind her. I don't think so. That is fair. She's a grassroots person. Who's come up by the roots, who lost her father, who was picked up 3 times, tortured, and his badly mutilated body came out and was thrown on
Yeah,
the street. And
yeah.
she's been protesting since the age of 11.
11.
So I
She
think it's
might get
very,
some support from the states. That's no denying,
yeah,
but
but she's certainly not an American plant.
she's not a
Or,
plant.
yeah, she is homegrown grassroots leader,
Yeah, yeah.
which is a
That's
very rare,
something.
yeah, which is very rare. And she doesn't have any tribal backing or anything like that, but
Mhm.
she articulates her own feelings, the feelings of so many other mothers and sisters like her who have had to face this kind of a thing. The famous statement that she made, which really moved me. She said, look at this lady. She doesn't know whether she's a widow or she's married. Her husband has been missing for 15 years. Can you imagine going through life not knowing who or what you are? Do you celebrate your husband's birthday? Do you celebrate? What do you tell your children? Is your father alive or not? तो एक तो इतनी बददुआ लगी है ना पाकिस्तान आर्मी को और लगेगी बददुआ कंटिन्यूअसली बिकॉज ऑफ द व्हाट दे हैव डन टू द बलोच
Especially the Baloch, yeah.
या
Uh, okay. Pathuri ji, this is a beautiful comment for you, sir. It's a compliment for you. She says that, when she was pregnant during the rough period, she used to listen to your voice and your demeanor calmed her. So she says, thank you.
अरे भाई बहुत बहुत आपको धन्यवाद आई मीन आई एम ग्लैड दैट माय वॉइस वाज एबल टू काम यू थ्रू अ डिफिकल्ट पीरियड बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद आपका
A
थैंक यू
beautiful, beautiful comment, I must
या
say.
आई नो वेरी वेरी काइंड ऑफ हर
Siddhant ji says, why don't you think breaking Pakistan would lead to a huge immigrant problem on our northwestern sectors? Do you actually think Pakistanis will actually come towards India, sir? There's a
वेयर एल्स विल
last
दे
place.
गो वेयर विल दे गो
कहाँ
they
जाएंगे
can't
सर
go
यहाँ
through
पर?
Balochistan to Iran. Afghanistan, you think they'll go to Afghanistan? China will probably stop them at the Karakoram Pass.
I think they're gonna eat themselves just silly here there itself.
Of course, I don't think so the Pakistan army itself will allow, but we don't know at what stage. For example, if there's a water crisis,
Yeah,
which I
that's yeah.
which I've written and talked about a lot, then If there's no water, there is no life. So what will even the army do?
Hmm.
So in cases like that, it is something to think about. It's something to war game to think about the what will happen.
Yeah, yeah. San, why is Afghanistan not interested in Balochistan freedom? My understanding was that they are cousin tribes, or Afghanistan is still dancing to America, who wants Baloch as their Baloch land as a base.
No, Afghanistan has always been interested in Balochistan. In fact, for a long time, the Baloch wanted land access to the sea. The Afghans wanted land access to the sea from and through Balochistan.
Hmm.
So Afghanistan is always don't think that Afghans are not interested in Balochistan. They're very much interested, and they feel that just as the Baloch are suffering, they are suffering in a similar manner. The Baloch suffering is more because of the lack of population, and I don't think so. Afghanistan is dancing to America's tune. And about the U.S. wanting Baloch as a land base, I think the U.S., when they see what the Chinese have had to go through, will find it, will not trust Pakistan to be able to give them security. And whom would they want the land base against? Against Iran, but with Iran, they've got other means of reaching out. So I think it's a bit far fetched. I don't think so. The U.S. would look for uh, bases. Like, of course, bases now has become very relevant after Sheikh Hasina talked about St. Martin's Island.
Yeah.
That was the US wanting that and other bases. But that is all geared towards China, not so much Iran. I don't think that for Iran, uh, the US at the moment, things could change tomorrow. But at the moment, I don't think so. They are looking for land base in Balochistan. And given Pakistan's, the shape that Pakistan is in, security is going to be a major concern.
Last two questions, sir. Nikhil Saab says, why mainstream media does not talk about Balochistan? India doesn't even know Baloch activists, whereas we always hype about Kashmir activists.
Which is very true. I mean, it was a very sad commentary. One of the reasons is that Pak media, Pak mainstream media, the legacy media, as it were, does not talk about Balochistan because they're not asked, they've been told not to talk about Balochistan. Anybody who writes about Balochistan will become a footnote in a newspaper the next day.
Yeah.
But Baloch are very active on social media, just as the Pashtuns and the Afghans are very active on social media. And I think people in India need to follow, if they're interested in this area, to follow Baloch media, to follow Baloch handles, amplify them, engage with them, to get to know and understand this area much more because legacy media will not give you anything.
That's why people come and listen to shows like this and podcasts and stuff like that, sir, because they learn more in things like this.
Yeah.
Talk Super Tank after a long time. Nice to have you back. Thank you. You say any ill effects of Balochistan becoming an independent nation?
See, again, it would depend on the manner in which, if it happens, the manner in which it becomes independent. Is it through a bloody warfare, where lots of people get killed? Is it through the intervention of another country? Afghanistan, Iran, could be anybody else. So the manner in which it happens will determine what will be the spillover effects of Balochistan. Also,
Hmm.
let's not forget that Baloch are not confined only to Balochistan. There are a large number of Baloch who are in Sindh, who are in Punjab, and who are in KPK. What happens to these mixed populations or these mixed areas? So I think the manner in which, uh, if Balochistan were to become independent, the manner in which it becomes independent will determine the fallout.
Hmm. And comment for you, sir. Shirish ji says, ask Tilak ji, when are you going to write a book, Ek Tha Pakistan, in the next 2-3 years?
मुझे 2-3 साल तो नहीं, 4-5 साल दीजिए, फिर मैं लिखूंगा एक था
So ऐसे मत
पाकिस्तान
करो,
बड़ा.
मैंने तो बोला हुआ अंडर 5.
हाँ, बड़ा very
I
good,
said under 5.
very good comment. Thank you. A very
Yeah.
interesting topic.
Yeah. I've said under 5. I don't think Pakistan, as an entity that it exists today, will be able to last for 5 years.
Or could be another title, could be RIP Pakistan.
You never know.
Yeah, but
I
Ekta
don't think
Pakistan
so,
was
sir,
a good title.
because if you see, realistically speaking, jokes apart, I mean, they've taken over Chitral. That main road to Chitral is gone, right? Gilgit Baltistan, they have blocked certain other roads as well. KPK, there are problems. Ready? Balochistan, there are problems. You're as good as broken right now. But fair enough, the army can go inside and do some kachra there and come back and this and that. So, chalega, okay, fine. We'll give it to them. But there is going to be a time when Pakistani army will not be able to go into these areas without getting a backlash.
That's true.
That's some,
And
that's
it's
the
already
way.
happening. And because Pakistan army is not able to do anything against the Pashtun, against the TTP.
Yeah, yeah.
You see, one other thing which we've mentioned this earlier,
Hmm.
the access to the sophisticated weaponry which the TTP has, and the TTP has passed on to the Baloch, is all left over by the US. So, thermal imaging, night vision goggles, and these sophisticated weaponry, they match, or if not at times even better than what the Pakistan army has.
Yeah. And
As
sir,
soon
they've
as
got
you get,
better stuff. They've taken those M4s and all that from.
yeah, as soon as you have these kind of weaponry, it's a game changer.
Yeah,
Thermal
yeah,
imaging, for example, some of
absolutely.
the things which come on Twitter, on X, on the Baloch attacks, with snipers using thermal imaging, and it's amazing stuff.
Long shots.
Yeah.
Long shots. Sarjeet, thank you so much for taking all the time. It's always a pleasure talking to you and learning from you. Most importantly, guys, give a big shout out to Sir. Check out the books. And of course, yes, we are waiting for the third book to come out. And of course, I am waiting to catch up with Sir in October during the Jaipur Dialogue Summit where we meet. And it'll be obviously an honor to meet and have some personal interactions as well. So, on that note, sir, stay well,
Thank,
get well soon, and Jai Hind, Jai Bharat.
thank you very much, Adi. Always a pleasure talking to you. I learn a lot too. Thank you very much. And thank your audience too for their very, very nice comments.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.